This is an iHeart podcast.
iHeart presents the Big Three Playoffs. This Sunday, the remaining 4 teams battle to make the championship in the most physical, fierce, and competitive basketball league in the world. The action starts with the Big Three Monster Energy Celebrity Game. Then Dwight Howard and his L.A. Ryan take on Montrezl Harrell and Dr. J Chicago Triplets. The finale will see popular Miami 305 with stars MVP Michael Beasley and Lance Stevenson take on Nancy Lieberman's Dallas Power. Who will make it to the Big Three Championship? The no-holds-barred action starts Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 Pacific, only on CBS.
Now you can stream Fox News live on the Fox One app. Stay on top of breaking news and the biggest stories live as they happen, all from the Fox voices you trust, bringing you the coverage you won't find anywhere else.
Start your 7-day free trial today. Offers are subject to change. Go to Fox One for complete terms and conditions. Fox One, we live for live, streaming now.
Are you missing the sounds that matter most? What if you could hear every word, every laugh, and every moment crystal clear without spending thousands on expensive hearing aids? Introducing Audient Atom, the world's most affordable FDA-approved hearing aid. With the revolutionary A2 chip, you get premium sound, zero background noise, and a 24-hour rechargeable battery. They even have Bluetooth connectivity to connect to your cell phone or TV. Unlike those traditional bulky $5,000 prescription hearing aids, the Audient Atom is 90% smaller, 20 times cheaper, and works instantly. No visits to the audiologist needed. Audient Atom has over 500,000 happy customers who have trusted Audient Atom to restore their hearing. Our 100% money-back guarantee means zero risk to try. Don't like them? Simply return them and get your money back. They also come with a lifetime warranty. For the next 72 hours, the Audient Atom is 53% off. Go to tryhearingaid.com right now to order your pair for only $99. Again, go to tryhearingaid.com to order your pair for only $99. Order now before it's too late, as these hearing aids have sold out over 10 times this year. With Audient Atom, you can hear life again.
Welcome, everybody, to the Thursday edition of the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show. A lot of news to dive into, and we will do that with all of you. We appreciate you hanging out with us, being ready to look at all things that are mattering on this lovely Thursday. We can start with one here. We can put one on the board for a Clay Travis prediction come true. He's got a little bit of the hot hand right now. He's feeling pretty smooth, feeling pretty on it. The Court of Appeals in New York has tossed the $500 million civil fraud fine by AG Tish James. This is breaking news today, and I will say this is one where Clay called this very early on and he was vociferous. He was unwavering. I thought this was possible, but not as confident. So I give the full predictive. If both of us 100% agree on something, it's not. I give the full predictive value here. All points awarded to Clay on the prediction on this one, because I thought it was kind of a 50-50, and he said they're absolutely going to toss it. And now this is good. The Appellate Division, First Department in New York, credit where it's due, did the obviously right thing. This was a completely insane case, obvious political headhunting. Attorney General of New York State, Tish James, it was awful what she did. It was disgraceful that she ran promising to prosecute somebody or promising to find somebody, bring suit against, civil suit in this case. And that they said, Clay, the things that came out in this case, that Trump valued Mar-a-Lago at $517 million, and they said it was $27 million in 2020. Anybody with even a passing, the vaguest familiarity with the Palm Beach real estate market, I don't know what house you're going to get on the water for $27 million in Palm Beach these days. Clay, it was the abuse of law in the worst possible fashion. And maybe, look, he's president now, so maybe the appellate court decided they weren't going to continue to poke the dragon. But a good call by you, sir. Take a bow for sure. And a good moment, actually, I know this sounds corny, perhaps, but it's true. A good moment for law and order in this country, or for the rule of law in this country.
Yeah, for people who have forgotten, and I know there are so many different legal proceedings. We've joked kind of about this, but I never would have believed when I went to law school that I would end up just analyzing Trump legal cases for what feels like a career oftentimes, because Trump 2.0 has primarily been driven, the resistance has, by the judiciary, by the legal branch, and it all started as a part of the 2024 election. So this particular case, and I know there are so many of them that it is hard to keep up, was brought by Letitia James alleging mortgage fraud. And I'm trying to simplify this a little bit. And she said the mortgage fraud was that Trump inflated the assets that were under his control to obtain a lower rate of the mortgage than he otherwise should have. But, and this is why the case was really outlandish from the start, he paid all the loans back. So there was no actual victim here.
Oh,
the banks,
Even worse than that, Clay. He paid all the loans back with interest, and the banks said they had no problem with this.
Correct.
They agreed with his. The banks did an independent assessment. They always do.
Yes.
Right? I mean, this is, anyone who's gotten a mortgage knows it is a giant pain in the butt. The banks do their own assessment. They want their own person to go in there. Clay, the banks said they would be, this was part of the court filings, they would be eager to do business with Trump again.
Yes. So this was an incredibly strange legal theory to begin with, because there was no victim. And so the idea that Trump should have to pay back over $500 million with interest now, she tried to calculate what the rate, in her opinion, should have been for the loans that Trump took out, that he ended up paying back, and that the bank said they were very comfortable in the deal they did, and then argued that that was a fraud perpetrated, that the state of New York needed to investigate, bring civil penalties against, and the New York Court of Appeals just said this is garbage. And here is where I think we are headed. I think all these cases are going to end up getting tossed. I think there are three, correct me if I'm wrong, Buck, because sometimes I get kind of lost in the weeds on some of this too. There are three New York State trials and or legal proceedings of significance. There's probably more than this. One is this one that was just tossed out, the mortgage fraud. The other one was the E. Jean Carroll civil suit relating to allegations of sexual assault. I think that's going to be tossed. I've explained why. And then is it 34 felony counts over bookkeeping fraud? It was 34, right? Not 43. I can't remember which one of those numbers
that sounds
it was.
right, yes.
I think all three of these are going to get tossed eventually. The felonies, obviously, is the only one that is criminal in nature. And it is a sham case that is going to be tossed on appeal. The most likely, if you had me rank them to remain, if Trump were going to lose one of these, it would be the E. Jean Carroll. But I just, at its baseline, again, this goes into the weeds, I don't understand how it's defamation to deny that you raped someone. I mean, that seems like fair for Trump to say, right?
This would mean that in any case, by the way, your defense would make you liable for the defense itself, right? You know, I didn't do this thing. Let's have a trial. Oh, we're going to find you guilty. And by the way, because you said you didn't do it, we're also going to sue you because of what you said in court. I mean, I don't understand how
it is crazy. And let me be even clearer on this, because we've seen a lawsuit over George Stephanopoulos of this. Trump was actually, in a civil context, found not to have committed rape. That is, the jury found it more likely than not in a civil context that he did not commit a rape. They did find it more likely than not that he had engaged in sexual assault. So he then said, this is where the additional lawsuit and additional damages came, Buck. After this verdict, he said, well, that's not true. I didn't, rape her. I didn't sexually assault her. And then she's lying about that. And then she sued him again, saying, well, he defamed her based on the ruling that she had gotten. So, I just think that case is garbage. We're seeing the Letitia James mortgage case is officially, basically, from the New York Court of Appeals, garbage. And I think all the felony charges are going to get tossed, too. Now, a lot of you may say, I don't even care. Trump's in office, all these things. I do think the court's rulings here matter. because the precedent they put in place when they went after Trump, if you happen to be a Republican and live in a blue state, or candidly, if you happen to be in a Democrat and run in a red state, we can't allow your politics to become proxy for civil and criminal liability just based on what you happen to believe, in my opinion.
Trump stomped on lawfare the same way that he stomped on MSNBC and CNN and accomplished things that I don't think many of us believed were even possible years ago. In both of those instances, the fact that you had it was 4 criminal trials, or 4 criminal prosecutions rather, and multiple civil suits, all timed to hit him at the same time, and while he's running for president, and that he will emerge from all of that, Clay, essentially. Now, I know there's still the New York case, but that one, I agree with you. I mean, there's going to be no punishment that he's the president. They can't do anything right now, and there's going to be no punishment for it, and I think eventually that's going to be overturned as well. He's going to emerge unscathed from all of this.
Yes.
Which is incredible. And it also goes to, I think, the desperation that the Democrats feel right now, because what happens when you've thrown everything in the kitchen sink and the other guy just grins and keeps coming? That's exactly what Trump did. They did everything they could, abuse the system in ways we have never seen before as a country. And Trump is president, more popular than he's ever been. His base is more behind him than they've ever been, if that's even possible. And what have they got? Gavin Newsom trying to create cool guy memes of himself and posting them online.
It's one of the most remarkable things I've ever seen. I mean, whatever you think of Trump, I don't know that we have ever seen someone take this degree of attack and just keep moving forward and ultimately vanquish everybody who tried to fight against him. I mean, at this point, you're going to like this pop culture reference. It feels like Trump is Neo in the Matrix, Buck. It feels like he has just learned how to move at a different speed and how to handle attack, for those of you who have seen the movie, in a way that is unprecedented, and where he can basically turn on his foes and just utterly vanquish them. And look, I do, the one thing I will say is I really admire Trump, because there were so many cowards who refused to stand up for Trump that now are showing up and kissing the ring. He's been the cover for a lot of companies out there that knew that their woke employees were engaging in ridiculous insubordination that undercut the very fabric of the company's culture itself. And he is making so much of American society better because they're using him as the cover and saying, well, you know, Trump won, we have to do this. They're doing what they know to be right because Trump has given them the cover to do it. And I just think the Trump story for decades to come is actually going to get more impressive, because so many people out there are caught up in the political moment day to day, and they've just decided they hate Trump. And as that fades, I think Trump is going to become an even more iconic figure than he is as we speak about him on this day.
This is a man who, at no point during the effort to destroy him, destroy his legacy, his reputation, take away his freedom, tried to bankrupt him. I mean, it's $500 million, I think, plus $100 million in interest. Now, Trump has a lot of money, but that hurts anybody. Cash, okay? When was the last time you heard of a fine for an individual that big, I might add? I mean, how much money could he have possibly made? What would the differential have been with these bank loans if they had even been high? There's no way it would have been $600 million.
It's bonkers, Buck. I mean, they went back in time to the date of the initial loan and decided to create their own loan rate, and then charge him interest on that for, I mean, it's one of the most harebrained legal schemes I've ever seen. And again, it is Trump derangement syndrome inside of a courtroom. And I honestly think Letitia James should be disbarred over some of the legal arguments that she has made. And if she, as has been alleged, was involved in actual clear mortgage fraud herself, she should spend some time in a prison. That should actually happen, because she sent other people to prison for that while she was AG. No problem with that. Why shouldn't she go?
She would send any of you, if you checked, it's my primary residence and it's not, and you got a better rate and all, she would send you to prison, but she doesn't go to prison. But just one more note on Trump, Clay. During this whole process, never once did you see this guy, and he's, in the public all the time. He's showing up for the mug shot, and he got shot, as we know, in Butler, Pennsylvania. Never once did you see this guy despair. Never once did you see him claim that he's unable to handle all the forces arrayed against him. I mean, there's a real lesson in that. I mean, this guy is a force of nature. A lot of what was thrown against him would have been enough to break even some considerable, formidable people out there. And he just kept coming. He just kept coming. There's a life lesson in that. Never give up. All right. We spent time yesterday on the program discussing D.C. crime, as you know. And I know not that many of you live in D.C., but wherever you are, you need to be prepared. There are home invasions that can happen, even in very safe jurisdictions. You just want to make sure that you have the tools you need in your home to protect yourself and your family. This is why we're such big believers in Sabre products. Sabre products, which are non-lethal, a whole range of personal and home defense products, have safeguarded hundreds of thousands of peoples. Their pepper sprays, pepper gels, and projectile devices are all made here in the U.S. And my wife, Carrie, she prefers having non-lethal options. And so we have Sabre home defense projectile launchers here because if I'm not around and someone's trying to, break in the door or something happens, she knows that she can defend herself with non-lethal options. Act now to protect yourself and your family. Save 15% on Sabre's mega bundle with extra projectiles, magazines, and practice targets. Visit sabreradio.com. That's SABRE radio.com or call 844-824-SAFE, 844-824-SAFE.
Making America great again isn't just one man. It's many. The Team 47 Podcast. Sundays at noon Eastern in the Clay and Buck podcast feed. Find it on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
The reviews and ratings are in, and Ice Cube's Big Three is the surprise hit of the summer. And to cap off the season, iHeart presents the Big Three Basketball Playoffs. This Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern, the remaining 4 teams battle it out for the right to make the Big Three championship in the most physical, fierce, and competitive basketball league in the world. The action starts with the Big Three Monster Energy Celebrity Game, where your favorite stars compete in Big Three 3-on-3 basketball. Then the first of 2 semifinal games features Dwight Howard and the LA Riot taking on Montrezl Harrell and Dr. J's first-place Chicago triplets. The finale will see popular Miami 305 with stars MVP Michael Beasley, and last will Make You Dance Stevenson take on Nancy Lieberman's Dallas Power, who finished the season winning 5 straight weeks to capture second place. Can Glenn Rice, Greg Monroe, and Paul Millsap stop Miami's physical assault, or will Miami and Beasley put an end to Dallas's winning ways? Who will make it to the Big Three Championship? This no-holds-barred action starts Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 Pacific, only on CBS.
Now you can stream Fox News live on the Fox One app. Stay on top of breaking news and the biggest stories live as they happen, all from the Fox voices you trust, bringing you the coverage you won't find anywhere else.
Start your 7-day free trial today. Offers are subject to change. Go to Fox One for complete terms and conditions. Fox One, we live for live, streaming now.
You don't need to be ripped. You just need the right shirt. Epic Fits gives you a clean, confident silhouette, snug on the arms, soft on the skin, generous where it counts. And with deals like $15 per tee, they won't break the bank. Visit epicfits.com today. Epic Fits. T-shirts that get it.
A lot of news breaking, a lot of things happening. So thanks for joining us here live and in real time as we are making sense of it all for you. Just dropping, let me see, when did this happen? Right when we started the show today, right as we came on air, almost like he teed it up for Clay and Buck. Donald Trump on Truth Social in regards to the massive court victory, as Clay just pointed out to me in the commercial break, 5-0 by the appellate court in New York. All the judges saying this entire, let me just be clear, 5-0 against Trump in New York. Those are judges. They've been, these are judges in a very blue state. These are judges who I'm sure I haven't looked at who appointed them, but some Obama appointees probably there, some Biden appointees. Or
and let me point out this, too, by the way. We haven't had the time to read. There are 3 different opinions among the 5 judges. So the whole thing is just a cluster. I'm trying to avoid cursing.
Yes,
it's a cluster. But it is, to your point, yes. I mean, a New York Court of Appeals siding with Trump is, I think they held this for a long time. They didn't want to release it before the
Right.
election. I mean, this timing is no coincidence.
So, Trump has weighed in on Truth Social, and it is a doozy. This is a big truth, not a little truth, very large. Here we go. I'm going to read some of this to you. Total victory, all caps. In the fake New York State Attorney General Letitia James case, I greatly respect the fact that the court had the courage to throw out this unlawful and disgraceful decision that was hurting business all throughout New York State. Others were afraid to do business there. The amount, including interest and penalties, was over $550 million. It was a political witch hunt in a business sense, the likes of which no one has ever seen before. Case of election interference by the city and state trying to show illegally that I did things that were wrong when, in fact, everything I did was absolutely correct and even perfect. Every single dollar was thrown out, even the penalties imposed on us by the corrupt judge, one of the most overturned in history, Arthur Engeron. I wasn't given a jury, and during the course of the trial, which lasted a long time, was not given one ruling in my favor by this political hack. But worse than him, if possible, was Letitia James, a corrupt and incompetent attorney general who only brought this case in order to hurt me politically. She is a Trump deranged lunatic. They made me bond the outrageous sum, which never happened before, cost me millions of dollars a month. It should have never been allowed to happen. Everyone knew it. Importantly, the vote was 5-0. I'm so honored by Justice David Friedman's great words of wisdom, which should be read by everyone. I would also like to thank the court for having the courage to make this decision, etc. I mean, Clay, he talks about how they should recuse themselves.
I mean, stem-winding
keeps going.
Trump post.
I got less than halfway through it, everybody. I mean, it's. I'll just say this: he is laying haymakers on this whole thing, and it is. Look, it's a huge win for Trump. There's no question. It's a 600. I think it's right at 500 million plus 100 million, basically, in the everything together. So call it a $600 million, give or take. No matter who you are, $600 million is a lot of money. $600 million you were going to pay for what? Dude, who is this even being paid to? You're going to pay to the state of New York because a bunch of banks with hundreds of billions on the asset on the balance sheets or whatever said Trump's a great guy to do business with. We would do it again. This was one of, I think you could actually argue this was the craziest case. Cause I know people say, oh, E. Jean Carroll, they talk about that. Well, anyone can accuse someone of something from 30 years ago. This is why we actually have a statute of limitations.
Let me point out on the E. Jean Carroll, they changed the statute of limitations to allow Trump to be sued on this.
The statute of limitations is a very important, I know sometimes people say, oh, but it feels, no, it's very important. Okay. Because it's unfair to a defendant, and there are places like murder and other, extreme sex crimes and treason and things like that. There are no statute of limitations, statutes, but in general, if someone can accuse you of something from 20 years ago or 30 years ago, defending yourself against this is very challenging, right? This is a very hard thing to do. Because, for a whole range of reasons, and also memories fade and the evidence that's presented. My point is, even with all that, I think that the Letitia James case against Trump was the most egregious abuse of the law in a legal sense. I know it wasn't criminal, but I think it was, you co-signed this one. I think it was the most, you have got to be bleeping kidding me. I cannot believe they are doing this.
Well, yeah, here's the way I would analyze it. I don't agree with E. Jean Carroll's lawsuit, but what she alleged, if it were true, is a crime. The other 2 New York, and remember it was a civil case, but at least her allegations would, if they occurred, merit significant legal attention. There's no victim. When you borrow money from a bank, first of all, you're arguing that the bank is a victim here. The bank said they were not a victim and they were paid back in full. And to your point, Buck, does anybody who's ever taken out a loan from a bank feel like the bank isn't adequately represented.
So can we talk about this for a second, actually? Because I think that the mortgage fraud thing, it's a very severe statute that is, this is just the power imbalance of banks versus individuals. Going to prison for 10 years because you could have gotten a different interest rate if you had checked a few different boxes. I think this is actually a statute totally apart from Trump and Tish James. I think it's a pretty severe one, unless it's a systemic, someone's doing this over and over again. Clearly, there are people who, for pretty minor stuff, they'll serve. I think the average mortgage fraud sentence is like 2 years in federal prison or something. I mean, you take, people get sent away for this.
Yeah, that's at least criminal. This is civil. So they didn't even attempt to charge him with a criminal offense. They just said, you got a loan you shouldn't have gotten in the opinion of the state of New York, and we are, as a result, going to give the rate, in our opinion, that you should have paid, and the difference between the rate that you should have paid and the rate that you got is going to be a fine to come back to the state of New York. It's one of the craziest things I've ever seen.
This is also to suggest that Tish James and her team are better in retrospect assessors of real estate value, not only than Donald Trump, but the banks who have their own independent, not inspection. What do you call it when someone comes? Is it the assessor or no? It's the
a mortgage evaluator. I think
the guy who evaluates.
Whatever you want to call it.
There's a term for it, but
appraiser.
My point.
The mortgage appraiser. The appraiser.
Appraiser. That's the word I'm looking for. Thank you. Appraiser. This is absurd, right? I mean, these are people looked at this, said this is a great deal. It would be like if Clay, if you and I were sitting there and we were buying a car from Tish James, and we said this is the price, and she said that's a great price, and we paid that price, and she says great, I got a good price on my car. You guys got a car you like, everyone's happy, and then later she's like, you know what? I'm going to prosecute you guys. You paid way too little for that car. It's like, you agreed to the price of the car. Like, everyone was happy. I don't understand.
It's even crazier
nonsense.
than that, Buck, because it's not even about the deal. It's about Trump's politics, because they would have never, ever looked at this if he hadn't got involved in politics. So,
it was all pretextual. But the fact that this was even brought is madness. But, when you bring up the criminal versus civil separation, remember it's a fit for everybody. It's a 51% standard, which is so hugely different. The E. Jean Carroll thing, the standard the jury has is, do you think it's like better than 50-50 shot this lady's telling the truth on the sexual assault part, not actually on rape? I think there was a distinction that was made in that case about it, right? So essentially, do you think Trump might have grabbed or groped this woman? That's different than did he actually forcibly penetrate this woman, which I believe that was not what he was found, right? And that's where he went after Stephanopoulos. That wasn't even in the civil trial found to be that.
They found that he did not do that on the civil trial. Yeah.
But do you think that maybe he groped this lady and the standard in a criminal trial, it would be, guys, are you absolutely, the real standard beyond a reasonable doubt, are you absolutely sure that Donald Trump grabbed this woman 30 years ago and should possibly lose his freedom? That's criminal. Civil, it's, hey, do you think he was, grabbing this lady? We don't know, but better than 50-50? Huge difference.
Yeah.
And that's why when they change the rules and they use these civil things, they're just hoping to get a jury that doesn't like Trump that goes, yeah, whatever, screw him.
Yeah, they were trying to bankrupt him. They were trying to imprison him for life. They were trying to end his political future. And now the shoe is on the other foot. As Trump has said, in the first term, he was the hunted. Now he's the hunter. And I do think it's important to play back. Here is Letitia James bragging in 2023. I'm going to come back to all of you soon with a check for $250 million. Remember, they also tried to ban him from doing business ever again in New York. And my recollection is the Trump sons were banned from doing business in New York over this. This was effectively an attempt to force Trump out of New York. And honestly, when this all happened, I remember we talked about it a lot on the show, but I said, this is why I'm never leaving Tennessee. I'm very comfortable living in my red state of Tennessee. I'm not saying I'm going to be perfect, but I don't have to worry about getting attacked like this. This is cut 27. Letitia James bragging about taking Trump's money. Listen.
I will be honored when I walk into that courtroom on October 2nd. Well, my role is civil. But I will come back before you soon with a check for $250 million. And to let you know that he is no longer allowed to do business in the state of New York. Yeah, we've got a special charge to show up and stand up for one another.
She's in trouble. She's in real trouble. If she weren't in New York, she already would have lost her job. And I know there's an investigation into her, but with this New York appeals court decision, I think she's in trouble. I haven't forgotten about Alvin Bragg. I know Trump has not either. I know his DOJ is investigating both of these individuals. Again, I think the felonies are going to be tossed eventually on appeal in New York. I think the timing on this is not coincidental. They held this for a year, if I'm not mistaken, to wait till after the election to release this opinion. Again, this is total vindication for Trump, but I think he wants to take the next step and send a message that total vindication for him is not, I mean, he still had to spend millions of dollars in legal fees. He still had to tie up hundreds of millions of dollars. I think he had to get a bond of $150 million or something to even appeal this. I understand why he wants there to be consequences for Letitia James and why he wants there to be consequences for Alvin Bragg. One more cut, Buck. This was Letitia James before all this happened, going on The View and saying, I'm going to get Trump. Remember, this is unprecedented. Cut 28.
You also intend to prosecute him after he is out of office, correct?
Our investigation currently is civil in nature. It is not criminal. Yes, our civil suit will continue whether he's president or not. And so after January 20th at 12 o'clock, our investigation will continue, Joy. He cannot pardon himself. What he could do is step down and allow the Vice President Pence, to pardon him. Now, it's important to understand he is pardoned from federal crimes, but he is not pardoned from state crimes. Last year, I introduced a bill in the state legislature which would close the pardon loophole so that individuals such as the President of the United States would not evade justice. It's important that we have this check on presidential powers.
There's so many things I would like to call her that would not be allowed on FCC broadcast, but has she ever commented on Joe Biden's pardons?
No, she's a horrible person just based on her actions. I mean, what she did. Trump is a father. He's a grandfather. He's an American. He's a patriot. And the glee she has he's a president and former president, current president. The glee that she takes and the sense of pride she has in trying to destroy somebody over what? All this flowery language she's using about, no one's above the law and everything else. I'm sorry, what's the law that he broke? What's the bad thing that he did that we need to punish? The law that he broke is being Trump and taking the fight to the left and making Democrats sad at election time. That's the law that he broke.
And honestly, having the misfortune to have done it all while having many of his businesses registered in New York, which I think the ultimate consequence of all of this is a lot of people said, I'm not willing to have my businesses based on in New York where I can be prosecuted if my politics don't end up aligning with whoever is in power there. I think Elon Musk saw this. I think it's why he's moved so much of his assets to Texas. It's why I'm never leaving Tennessee. I imagine it's one reason you're happy to be in Florida. But I think a lot of people out there with New York assets have made that decision. Look, I told you about my trip to Legacy Box headquarters, Chattanooga, Tennessee, my mom's hometown. What a cool experience it was. It was like being in a time capsule because they can take all of your media, 8mm films, VHS tapes, old photographs, and they can digitize them. And they have different parts of their huge facility there in Chattanooga where they are digitizing so many of these different products. In fact, I was talking with Adam, one of the co-founders there, and he said, look, we basically are on eBay buying VCRs all the time. And he said, we got techs who can put these things back working together because they're not making more VCRs, and we want to make sure that we can preserve your family's memories. They do incredible work right now. Before the holidays start, you can get 50% off your order. You get the originals back. It's very easy to use. Go to legacybox.com/Clay. 50% off your order. That's legacybox.com/Clay. One more time, legacybox.com/Clay.
Sometimes all you can do is laugh, and they do a lot of it with the Sunday Hang. Join Clay and Buck as they laugh it up in the Clay and Buck podcast feed on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Some news out there, as we discussed in the first hour. Trump with a big legal win. New York appeals court tosses his $500 million mortgage fraud civil penalty verdict from Attorney General Letitia James. Trump has reacted, as you would imagine that Trump has reacted. We've got news that Trump now says, we'll have some fun with this probably in the third hour. First of all, D.C. crime has basically collapsed. Carjackings down 83%, robberies down by half in the 9 some odd days since Trump deployed the National Guard and additional resources to help drive down crime. As we are speaking, I believe it has now been, you jinx this thing because inevitably it's going to end, but it has been over a week since there was a murder in Washington, D.C. They have searched the record books and they cannot find a summer, which is when murder typically peaks. Kids are out of school. There's way more people out and about in the streets. It's usually that time when murders are peaking all over the country. They have not found a summer stretch like this in decades going back to try to find a period of time where there has been no murders occurring. So we're going to get into this maybe in the third hour, but we're going to get to Cracker Barrel momentarily here, but I teased this as we went to break. Yesterday, as many of you know, producer Greg dropped the ball. He said, we like to end ours, and we certainly like to end the show, if you haven't noticed, on an uplifting idea. And producer Greg said, hit this talk back, and immediately it was a guy talking about working on the suicide hotline and trying to get people to not kill themselves. And everybody was just like, well, thanks, producer Greg. We're just going off into the rest of the day in an awful spirit.
Well, to be fair, the gentleman was saying that people who have cats, when they are in a very bad way mentally, sometimes what is able to get them through that when they call the suicide helpline is, well, I need to take care of my cat.
Yeah, all that's very fine, but suicide helpline stories should not be the one that we end the show with.
We did not get fair warning. We thought cat ladies were going to be coming at you and making fun of you, and instead it was like a very earnest and serious talkback. That's because what you're objecting to.
I suggested that MSNBC, instead of rebranding as MS Now, should rebrand as Menopause, the Menopause Network, and that they should spell the pause, P-A-W-S, with a cat paw to reach out to all of their childless cat ladies that are the base of the MSNBC viewing audience. But producer Greg, after throwing the show off the rails, recorded his own talkback. We have not heard this, to apologize to everyone. Here it is.
Hey, guys, it's producer Greg. Yeah, sorry, I kind of led you down the path there on that last talkback yesterday. It was a little grim, but I thought it was an interesting point, especially as someone who owns 3 cats myself, that women won't kill themselves because they have to feed their cats. Anyway, sorry about that. Meow culpa.
I like the meow culpa, though.
Meow culpa is pretty good.
I'll give a high paw to Greg on that one.
He also, though, even there, he's trying to be like, have it both ways. Like, hey, cat people, I've got 3 cats, too. I think there may be a revolution brewing among the cat fanatics out there. But thanks to producer Greg. So that leads into, so hopefully all of you are still alive. That leads into Cracker Barrel, which is dead. Because they have decided that they need to rebrand themselves. So I have eaten at Cracker Barrel a lot. During the commercial break, my mom texted me and said, your dad and I used to eat at the very first Cracker Barrel in Lebanon, Tennessee, spelled like Lebanon. Used to stop there going to Tennessee football games. The Southerners are not going to be happy about this. So I don't know what percentage of our audience has ever eaten at a Cracker Barrel. I have eaten at many different Cracker Barrels over the years. The way that I would describe Cracker Barrel is it's basically what your grandma cooked if you grew up in the South. That is
this where I would get, say, as a Yankee, my first introduction to country fried steak, perhaps?
That would be a very, they fry a lot of things at Cracker Barrel, as your grandma in the South would have fried everything. They have great biscuits and gravy. They have, I mean, again, the way that I would describe it.
How are they for the gluten-free community, Clay?
Probably not great.
Probably not great. That's what I was thinking.
I don't think gluten-free New Yorkers are not the base of the Cracker Barrel food pyramid. I think it's fair to say.
Well,
they have.
I feel judged.
They have a country store which has all sorts of things that your grandma would like to buy. I think that's probably a fair way to describe it.
I'm looking at the menu now. A lot of the food is beige.
What does that mean?
The color. It's just like looking at the menu. They have all the pictures of the food, and it's just like variations of beige.
I mean, it is like
it's like breaded things, bread, things that are deep fried in bread, things put between pieces of bread, and French fries.
Yes, like they have cornbread with everything. They have rolls with everything. The bread is very much of a Southern staple. So it basically is whatever was super popular to eat in the South in the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s. I think it's probably fair to say this is that writ large. Now, I think the Cracker Barrel is basically in all 50 states. They're based here in Nashville. They decided, Buck, that they needed to rebrand, to get hipper, to get fresher. Now, of all the restaurant chains out there, I can't think of a less hip and a less forward thinking. And I actually think that's the strength of the brand. In other words, the nostalgia is what makes Cracker Barrel exist as a brand. If you want to go to a hip restaurant, you are not going to go to Cracker Barrel. That's not their brand. So they rebranded. They took the old grandfather off of their logo, sitting by the Cracker Barrel, and they now just have the words Cracker Barrel written there. The stock, this is crazy. The stock today has dropped $8 a share. They have taken $100 million off of the market cap. Do we have the audio of the cackling Rachel Maddow looking new CEO of Cracker Barrel? It's as if she is a terrorist trying to destroy the existing track. Like if you created a movie villain.
She's a biscuit terrorist, Clay?
Yeah. If you created a movie villain to destroy a Southern restaurant chain, it would look exactly like this woman looks. Do we have the audio of this woman? I think she was on Good Morning America talking about how everyone loved the rebrand.
We don't have it yet. We will have it in the next segment,
okay.
So I'll introduce it.
So this is just, to me, maybe this would have flown a decade ago, but Cracker Barrel seems to me to have completely Bud Lighted themselves. And I think they're going to have to fire this CEO. I think they're going to have to acknowledge what I just told you, which is Cracker Barrel is a nostalgic place designed to evoke fond memories of people who used to eat Southern meals like this in the past, and is not ever going to be something different than it is, and in fact should lean even more into the brand that it has created, as opposed to trying to be, I don't know, like an orange and brown version of Applebee's. No shame for Applebee's out there.
It is impressively calorically dense in some cases here. The hash brown casserole shepherd's pie comes in at a lean 1,400 calories. So
it is not a place where you would go to lose weight. You do not go to Cracker Barrel to lose weight. Can
I honest question? Cracker Barrel versus Olive Garden. Which one do you think has better food? Because I have not been to the Cracker Barrel.
I'm an expert on chain restaurants because I have eaten at them all, often, frequently. I think it just depends on what kind of food you want. I mean, Olive Garden, I think, is pretty good Italian food in a chain setting. Just like I think, and people are going to get all fired up at me. They're either going to agree or just like, I think chain restaurants in general do a pretty good job. Like, is Outback Steakhouse what an actual Australian steakhouse looks like? No, but
do you know that Foster's Australian beer, I believe, is, well, first of all, it's not, I don't know if it's sold in Australia, probably is, but I think it's like bottled in New Jersey or something. I mean, it's like,
oh yeah,
actually get to it.
Well, but by the way, this goes both ways because they sell Budweiser as a premium brand in Australia, right? So, like, Budweiser is, I don't know, it's, what is the most premium brand?
Fort Worth,
it's like Guinness.
I'm sorry, Fort Worth, Texas is the primary brewing location for Foster's Australian for beer.
You can't find a Foster's. But guess what? The Bloomin' Onion, maybe the greatest chain restaurant dish ever created. I'll throw it out there. It's unbelievable. If you don't like a Bloomin' Onion, I would submit to you your taste buds probably don't work.
I think that was the most calorically dense single menu item across all American restaurants at one point in time, the Bloomin' Onion. I think it was something like almost 3,000 calories if you ate one of those, so I would hope it tastes good.
It is amazing. And so I think what's happening here is, I just said this on Fox News right before we came on the air. Aisha Hasney, who used to live in your building in New York City to tie everything together. She was hosting for Harris Faulkner. I really think that all of these companies need a director of common sense. And that is someone that actually consumes the product and says, hey, is this something that the base that actually made this company exist is going to support? If you had that, Bud Light never happens with with Dylan Mulvaney. They should go with Sydney Sweeney. The Cracker Barrel new logo and the remake does not happen like this. You would not have Nike lighting its brand on fire with Colin Kaepernick back in the day. The NBA wouldn't decide to put political slogans on the back of jerseys and Black Lives Matter on the court. Again, just basic common sense. These companies, and this is me getting on a soapbox because it fires me up so much. These companies employ people who have never, ever been fans of the company that they're leading, and they decide that they should make a choice without understanding the base of the company at all.
You can't run a kitchen if you don't know what your food tastes like. You can't be a good chef if you're not putting that wooden spoon up to your mouth and knowing what's going on. You got to eat your own cooking, whether it's radio or it's running a restaurant or whatever. You got to know the product you're putting out there.
Look, if you didn't have a Southern grandma, you probably shouldn't be the CEO of Cracker Barrel. Because if you had a Southern grandma, you would recognize the menu and you would know exactly what the business is. They're trying to evoke the idea of walking into your grandma's kitchen, right? That's say grandma home cooked meals.
Caller Steve in San Antonio, Texas, wants to weigh in on this one, and I think we should let him because he has a different perspective on the Cracker Barrel. What's going on, Steve?
Good morning. Thank you. I'm in San Antonio. Cracker Barrel's been here a long time. Long time. So I've eaten there, now and again for a long time. And in recent years, their product took a turn for the worse. I don't know why or exactly what the particulars of that were, but I had pretty much stopped going there. And then I saw something that they've changed their menu. I forget exactly how they said it. So I went and checked it out. And yeah, it really did look different. And I saw food coming out that looked different, so I tried it. And they improved it like 500% from where it had dropped to. And
okay.
So
thank you for calling in as a Cracker Barrel employee to tell us what you think. The stock.
Whoa, Clay, dismissive of our esteemed caller's taste buds, sir.
I don't buy that this guy happens to call in and give the exact corporate line that the CEO gave this morning on Good Morning
think
America.
We have a plant in this audience of patriots?
I'm just saying, when you call in with the exact talking points of the corporation, I just question whether you are giving your true opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Maybe he just happens to have the exact talking points. We'll play it for you that the CEO gave this morning on Good Morning America. I just think it's awful. I'm skeptical.
You come for the Cracker Barrel, you best not miss. When you're talking about Mr. Clay Travis's Cracker Barrel here, you better know what you're doing.
What are the odds? What are the odds that somebody calls in and sounds exactly like what the CEO would want them to sound like at the exact
Maybe he thinks the new country fried steak is just better. I have no dog in this fight. I've never even been to this place. I don't even think I've seen one before. This is not a thing we have in Yankee Town in the Northeast, okay? I don't think there are any guys, are there Cracker Barrels up in the Northeast? I don't think so.
I would bet they have a Cracker Barrel somewhere in rural New York. I would bet. It's a good question. How many different states are these in? I would bet the majority of this audience has been to a Cracker Barrel before.
Wow, there are Cracker Barrels in New York near major highways.
Yeah, not in New York City, but yeah, most people out there, I would think that they actually have probably been there.
There we go.
Well, if you think San Antonio caller was actually organic and he just happens to have the exact same opinion as the CEO, when we come back, we will play the CEO this morning saying everybody loves everything that she's doing. It's ironic how that always happens when the CEO goes on television. Everybody agrees with every decision they've made. But I want to tell you about Trust and Will. Maybe you were listening to producer Greg's final call at the end of the last show and you were thinking, hey, maybe it's time. I got to go get my Trust and Will done. Trustandwill.com. You can get 20% off right now. We're having a funeral for Cracker Barrel. Go ahead and take care of your own funeral. Get your Trust and Will done. Trustandwill.com is the website. 20% off when you use my name, Clay. Look, everybody needs to do this. If you think your family's going to feud after you're gone, grandmother, grandfather, dad, mom, whoever it is, if you're trying to make your family's life better and you're trying to leave behind less chaos, less division, and you just want what you think is best for the family, why not tell them exactly? You don't have to get a lawyer. You can save 20% right now. Trustandwill.com. My name, Clay. That's trustandwill.com. My name, Clay.
Stories of freedom. Stories of America. Inspirational stories that unite us all. Each day, spend time with Clay and Buck. Find them on the free iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcast.
The reviews and ratings are in, and Ice Cube's Big 3 is the surprise hit of the summer. And to cap off the season, iHeart presents the Big 3 Basketball Playoffs. This Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern, the remaining 4 teams battle it out for the right to make the Big 3 championship in the most physical, fierce, and competitive basketball league in the world. The action starts with the Big 3 Monster Energy Celebrity Game, where your favorite stars compete in Big 3 3-on-3 basketball. Then the first of 2 semifinal games features Dwight Howard and the LA Riot taking on Montrezl Harrell and Dr. J's first-place Chicago triplets. The finale will see popular Miami 305 with stars MVP Michael Beasley, and last will Make You Dance Stevenson take on Nancy Lieberman's Dallas Power, who finished the season winning 5 straight weeks to capture second place. Can Glenn Rice, Greg Monroe, and Paul Millsap stop Miami's physical assault, or will Miami and Beasley put an end to Dallas's winning ways? Who will make it to the Big 3 championship? This no-holds-barred action starts Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 Pacific, only on CBS.
Now you can stream Fox News live on the Fox One app. Stay on top of breaking news and the biggest stories live as they happen, all from the Fox voices you trust, bringing you the coverage you won't find anywhere else.
Start your 7-day free trial today. Offers are subject to change. Go to Fox One for complete terms and conditions. Fox One, we live for live, streaming now.
You don't need to be ripped. You just need the right shirt. Epic Fits gives you a clean, confident silhouette, snug on the arms, soft on the skin, generous where it counts. And with deals like $15 per tee, they won't break the bank. Visit epicfits.com today. Epic Fits. T-shirts that get it.
Didn't expect this, but just saw his tweet. Probably the man who is going to be the next governor of the great state of Florida, Byron Donalds, used to work at Cracker Barrel. And I'm going to let you tell the story to everybody. Appreciate you calling in. So you come down to the South from New York, and you got a job at Cracker Barrel?
Absolutely. It's good to be with you. I worked at Cracker Barrel in Tallahassee when I was going to college. I was a waiter. I actually was able to become a 3-star waiter. And so that's how high I rose in the ranks, man. I was a 3-star. I basically did everything in that store at the one in Tallahassee. And then when I moved to Naples, I transferred to the one down in Naples. It's on I-75, exit 101. I worked there for about 4 or 5 months in Naples before I got my first job.
At the Naples Cracker Barrel, Congressman, did they have the butler slip you like $100 bills? You know, that's a very high rent area.
Listen, even at the Naples Cracker Barrel, it's about biscuits and a hash brown casserole. That's what it's about. Ain't nobody flipping hundreds in there. I promise you that.
So what do you think about the rebrand? So this is actually a brand. It's funny, your world and Cracker Barrel collides. I used to work at American Eagle back when I was a teenager. So the whole Sydney Sweeney thing, I felt like that whole controversy was designed for me. When you saw that they're rebranding and changing the logo and everything else, what's your reaction?
I hate it. I don't even understand why it needed a rebrand. Cracker Barrel is a staple of the country. Everybody comes in there to eat. Doesn't matter who you are. You've come in there. You've had your pancakes and your scrambled eggs and bacon. You make sure you got your biscuits. You might have tried the country fried steak or the chicken fried chicken. Look, I'm going through the menu, and it's been more than 25 years since I worked there. But I will tell you, it's a staple. So I don't even know why we needed this rebrand. Some things just are what they are. That's Cracker Barrel, old country store. I don't even know why they removed that out of the name. And even in the inside, it looks like what they did is they tried to have it become like a photo shoot for like Better Homes and Gardens. I don't even know what that place looks like. It doesn't look like anything. That is what made Cracker Barrel a real staple in the United States.
Congressman, if I'm sorry to say, I've never been to a Cracker Barrel establishment.
What?
Which is clearly, I know.
Buck you're from New York too. It doesn't surprise me. Like, I grew up going to these things all over the country, but I mean, describe Cracker Barrel food to Buck as someone who's never been.
I was going to say, I mean, this is a gentleman who both appreciates the menu and had to help people navigate it for many years, a long time ago. Congressman, what, as a first timer, if I walked in there, what is like the best of Cracker Barrel? Like, what would or forget about my dietary restrictions. We'll leave that aside.
Let me help you. If you're coming in for breakfast, you have to get the old timers breakfast. Very simple, straightforward, couple scrambled eggs, some bacon, some sausage. They don't really do link sausage too much. Most of it's patty sausage. You could get biscuits. You might get toast if you ask for it, but you really just want the biscuits. If you really want to get into it, get the French toast. The French toast is some of the best I've ever had, whether I was serving it or I've eaten French toast somewhere else. That's really good stuff. If you're coming in for dinner, you can't go wrong with the catfish fillets. They're awesome. Fried or grilled is going to be great. If you love fried okra, you can get that. Green beans are always there. Macaroni and cheese is always on point. And real quick, for the people who love biscuits, they got to have their sausage gravy. I was never a sausage gravy guy, but a lot of people like it. It's iconic, man. It is great food no matter what you eat. Go there. I'm telling you, when you travel the country, go to Cracker Barrel. Maybe not this new version. Find one of the old ones where it's still designed the old way, because the food is fantastic.
Why do you think this happens? Like, you are running for governor of Florida. You're in Congress now. You have to talk to people from all different backgrounds, all over the state of Florida, all over the country. And as you just said, most people understand Cracker Barrel. It's like old Southern cooking. You know what you're going to get. Everybody's grandma cooked like that if you're in the South at all. And it has kind of that down-home nostalgic feel. Why is there such and look, you can connect this with Bud Light. I think you can connect it with lots of things. Why do we let people who never consume the product go out and try to change a brand like this? It seems to happen everywhere.
I mean, look, I think you sometimes will get a new CEO who thinks they have to rethink everything to prove their worth. What you really need to do as a chief executive is just make sure that the brand is earning money, make sure that the operations are sound, make sure the employees are getting the support that they need. And then, no pun intended, but just let the place cook. Because if it's cooking good food, people will continue to come. So these rebrands, I think sometimes you'll have an executive who thinks they have to leave their mark. And that's really not you need to be doing. You need to be making sure that everybody's making money. The earning per share has continued to look good. I don't know how much they're spending on this rebrand. Just looking at how some of the responses have been, like mine and a lot of other responses, it's not going well. So it's probably going to cost shareholders money. It's pretty unfortunate.
Okay, shifting gears here. We got college football kicking off in Ireland this weekend and other places. And then next weekend, I was actually going to text you about this. Now I got you on the show. I'll just tell you. I am going to Alabama, Florida State. I have never been to FSU for a game. For those of you who don't know, big Saturday in Tallahassee. 1, will you be at the game? 2, what should I know and or go see at Florida State? I think I'm going to take a couple of my kids for that game on opening weekend of college football.
Number one, I won't be in Tallahassee. I wish I was. I was already scheduled to be in another part of Florida doing an event. So I'm sad I'm going to miss the Knowles. But, I'm looking forward to seeing how we start this season. 2, make sure you take your kids to the Unconquered statue at the stadium. It's an iconic statue right in front of Doak Campbell. Trust me, it's nothing like it. 3, and I'm pulling from my nose. I think we're going to rebound from last season. So when that tomahawk chop comes out, let your kids do the tomahawk chop. Let them be a part of it. It's iconic in college football.
Outstanding.
I just want to throw this out there. I was looking this up, and hat tip our friend Sean Davis, Congressman. This may go a little bit to what happened with Cracker Barrel. Bring us back around here for a second. The Cracker Barrel chain, this is the New York Times, Cracker Barrel chain evoking Southern-style home cooking and hospitality, long seen as a white-coated establishment that aligned with conservative social norms.
Gosh.
Okay.
You see, this is what I mean. You get some new CEO who thinks it's time to do something different. Now they're concerned that too many conservatives eat at Cracker Barrel. I got a news flash for this lady. I'm assuming it's a lady now. That's the new CEO.
It's definitely it's a lady who looks like she's feeding her 5 cats while she's watching MS Now. Yes.
Oh boy. All right, news flash for her. This is how you lose customers. Because go look at your customer base. They're just regular people. They go and they eat good breakfast. A lot of repeats from people who live in the community who swear by Cracker Barrel. And now they're going to go somewhere else. I mean, this is how you end up losing your company. These are the dumb decisions for people who think they're smarter than everybody else. What you should do is go be undercover boss and go travel the country before you do these remodels and just see how people are in these restaurants. I worked in a Cracker Barrel for almost 4 years. Everybody was great. I never felt, I'm a black man. I never felt like, somebody was trying to hold me down because I was serving biscuits in the morning. It was a great.
It sounds to me, Congressman, like you disagree with the New York Times describes it as a quote, Cracker Barrel as quote, a lightning rod for identity politics.
It's the New York Times. Of course I disagree with them. They're stupid. They don't know what they're talking about. That's why they're
absurd.
But, I mean, I do think this is important. You worked as a waiter there, and you said this earlier. People from all different backgrounds come in, and it sounds like you had a really good experience with the patrons and the overall environment of the place when you worked there.
Yeah. What percentage of patrons would you say, if you had to just put a percentage on it, were just we're friendly and polite folks who were there to have a nice meal, either alone or with their friends or family? Like, what would you put that number at roughly in your 4 years of working there? I'm just curious.
Oh, it's like 98%. Like 98% is probably a good number. Every now and again, somebody might get a little rowdy if they didn't get their biscuits.
Well, that's true of any restaurant, right? But yeah.
About 98%. Everybody was good. They just want to come in and eat good food. That's what it's about.
All righty, Congressman. Anything else you want to announce while we're here? While we got you, I mean, you're already running for governor, right? I'm a Floridian, so can you keep this place? Can you just promise you'll keep this place awesome when you're governor?
What I'll tell you is, in Florida, we're going to continue to be the free state of Florida. That will not change. Everything is going great. Proud and honored to have President Trump's endorsement, Rick Scott's endorsement, most of the congressional delegation. We're just going to take our state to a whole nother level, but it will continue to be the free state of Florida.
Appreciate you, sir. We'll talk to you again soon, especially as that gets closer. All right. Thanks for making the time for us today, Congressman Donalds.
All right. Take it easy, guys.
See, Clay,
you never know.
You don't have to look that long. You figure it out. This CEO came in. It's because there's a perception among people. This is what I think we've unearthed here. And I'm speaking kind of from the outsider perspective. There's a perception among coastal elites that Cracker Barrel is coded as old, white, and Southern, and therefore inherently, even though it's just selling biscuits and pancakes and things to whomever goes through the door, and people seem to love the place, inherently problematic. There's something problematic about the perception, which is not even rooted in anything, of it's old, white, and Southern.
Well, what I would say, and I am not an expert in cuisine, clearly, but in my experience, white and black people in the South eat very, very similar foods. So I've never met anybody of any race in the South who was like, you know what? I'm not really a biscuit guy. You know what? I'm not really into fried catfish. You know what? I'm not really into cobblers and pecan pies and all this stuff. I see people eating very similar foods. I've been in Cracker Barrels all over the Southeast. And my experience would reflect what Congressman Donalds just said, which is most of the people there are just good old-fashioned people. Now, would it surprise me if Cracker Barrel, to your point, to the New York Times, codes, because it's a Southern-based company, as more likely to be eaten in by a Trump voter than, I don't know, I'm trying to think. I don't even know what the equivalent restaurant of liberals would be. Yeah, I would think that, but it's all over the South. I mean,
but
like,
so
Trump
this is what people have picked up on, though.
South.
This is what they picked up on, is that to, quote, modernize it or to update it is to de-Southernize it.
But that's my issue with it. It is the South. It's like
but
saying,
but that's the point.
Yeah.
It's everyone's issue with it. That's why there's 500,000 tweets.
And this is where I also think I think it's very similar to Bud Light. You take somebody from New York or LA who would never drink a Bud Light, and they say, you know what we should do? We should have trans influencers. Was there any trans person who was not drinking Bud Light because Bud Light wasn't trans enough? Of course not. The reason people go to Cracker Barrel is to get a good, home-cooked, old-school style Southern meal that your black grandma or your white grandma might have made for you back in the day. And as some grandmas to this day continue to cook. And so when you're trying to take away that which made people go to it in the first place, again, I don't understand. The marketplace for Cracker Barrel is not to be Applebee's. And that's not a shot at Applebee's, but Applebee's is like the most, we're probably just got a big deal we're about to do with Applebee's, and they're like, this is done forever. But I would say, like, Applebee's is the most generic Americana-style food out there. Like, what does Applebee's stand for? Nothing, right? It's like kind of, this is generic.
Whoa. I feel like Applebee's just caught an elbow there.
I'm not trying to take Applebee's out, but like Chili's, you would be like, hey, Chili's is Mexican-style food. Olive Garden, you'd be like, Olive Garden is Italian-style food. I mentioned it earlier. Outback is Australian steakhouse style. Texas Roadhouse.
I mean, is it though? Is Outback
no,
Australian?
No, it's not at all like that. But you understand the branding concept. The entire branding of Cracker Barrel is Southern style food. There is no competitor for that. There's a lot of competitor for Applebee's.
It's not a matter of whether you're going to have cell phone service. It's a matter of who you want to give to provide that cell phone service to you. This is why I'm telling you, really give some thought to this. Pure Talk. That's a cell phone company that I use. It's one that Clay's family is on. It's a company that we both admire. Founded by a veteran. Their customer service team is 100% U.S. based, keeping jobs at home, including many veterans. Pure Talk uses the same towers and same network as the bigger companies, but charges a fraction of the price. For just $25 a month, you can get unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data on America's most dependable 5G network. Just to give you some perspective, the average size family of four saves more than $1,000 a year when they switch to Pure Talk. And with Pure Talk's U.S. customer service team, you can switch hassle-free in as little as 10 minutes. You can even keep your phone and your number. So using your cell phone, dial pound 250, say the keywords Clay and Buck to make the switch. You'll save an additional 50% off your first month. Again, dial pound 250, say Clay and Buck to start saving today. Pure Talk, wireless by Americans for Americans.
You ain't imagining it. The world has gone insane. Reclaim your sanity with Clay and Buck. Find them on the free iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
iHeart presents the Big Three Playoffs. This Sunday, the remaining 4 teams battle to make the championship in the most physical, fierce, and competitive basketball league in the world. The action starts with the Big Three Monster Energy Celebrity Game. Then Dwight Howard and his Ellie Ryan take on Montrezl Harrell and Dr. J Chicago Triplets. The finale will see popular Miami 305 with stars MVP Michael Beasley and Lance Stevenson take on Nancy Lieberman's Dallas Power. Who will make it to the Big Three Championship? The no-holds-barred action starts Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 Pacific, only on CBS.
Now you can stream Fox News live on the Fox One app. Stay on top of breaking news and the biggest stories live as they happen, all from the Fox voices you trust, bringing you the coverage you won't find anywhere else.
Start your 7-day free trial today. Offers are subject to change. Go to Fox One for complete terms and conditions. Fox One, we live for live, streaming now.
Are you missing the sounds that matter most? What if you could hear every word, every laugh, and every moment crystal clear without spending thousands on expensive hearing aids? Introducing Audionatum, the world's most affordable FDA-approved hearing aid. With the revolutionary A2 chip, you get premium sound, zero background noise, and a 24-hour rechargeable battery. They even have Bluetooth connectivity to connect to your cell phone or TV. Unlike those traditional bulky $5,000 prescription hearing aids, the Audionatum is 90% smaller, 20 times cheaper, and works instantly. No visits to the audiologist needed. Audionatum has over 500,000 happy customers who have trusted Audionatum to restore their hearing. Our 100% money-back guarantee means zero risk to try. Don't like them? Simply return them and get your money back. They also come with a lifetime warranty. For the next 72 hours, the Audionatum is 53% off. Go to tryhearingaid.com right now to order your pair for only $99. Again, go to tryhearingaid.com to order your pair for only $99. Order now before it's too late, as these hearing aids have sold out over 10 times this year. With Audionatum, you can hear life again.
This is an iHeart podcast.